Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel, to Chelsea being the winners of the UEFA Conference League and Chelsea being the winners of every single trophy ever available to us. The only team in the whole world to have won all European trophies. We have truly won it all after one of the worst first half performances you'll ever see. You literally ever see. We somehow turn it around to absolutely dominate and batter Real Betis in the second half to a 4-1 victory. What a game. What a second half. What a comeback. What a terrible first half. I mean, my brother said to me, what a roller coaster of not only a game, but a season. And it's so true. Like, the ups and downs we've had, like I say, throughout the season, but even in this game, is unbelievable. Dimitar, you just said it as you joined before we went live. We've almost forgotten how it feels to win a trophy. First trophy on the Clear Lake Bowley. First trophy in such a long time. What was our last trophy? Was our last trophy the Club World Cup?
Yeah. So basically, the last major trophy, not the Super Cup, was the Champions League. So that's 2021.
Exactly. I'm pretty sure the last trophy we actually won was the Club World Cup. Not a bad trophy to win. Not a bad trophy to potentially try and win again in about a month's time. But for now, we did what we could do. Sure, we don't want to be in the UEFA Conference League. Yes, we want to be in the Champions League, or we would have liked to have been at least in the Europa League. But this is where we were. We turned up. We won all but one game, and that was because we won the first leg 3-0 already. Scored a total of 42 goals in the competition, and were, let's be honest, as much as we were clear favourites from the beginning, very much deserved winners. Dimitar, I mean, I said it already. What a ridiculously bad first half, and what a ridiculously good second half, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, the first half was absolutely abysmal, and I have to give credit to the manager. He saw his mistakes in the starting lineup. He immediately corrected it, and basically from the 46th, 47th minute, you could see that we are just like, we shifted the gear upwards and we wanted to turn the game around. So this is exactly what I wanted to see. So absolutely phenomenal from the team and from the manager, I would say.
Yes, I mean, we will obviously get into the details. What about the starting 11? Should Gusto have started? How did the first half go? A couple of other decisions that maybe you can argue. But at the end of the day, in the end, we won. In the end, the manager made changes at halftime, and also a few others throughout the second half, which I felt had a very positive impact on the team. But to see Reece James lift that first trophy of his as captain, bit of a shame that he didn't get to start as captain. But hey, was he realistically going to start after playing 90 minutes on Sunday? Probably not. But in the end, he was on the pitch to lift that trophy. And boy, am I happy. Boy, is he happy. Boy, are we all happy. It's a good photo. I'm not sure why, Mark, you had to turn up with this Catalonia flag at the very front of the picture, but there you go, bro. Enjoy your celebrations. I mean, Malo Gusto is one cheeky fucker because I can see his smile right there. You should be ashamed of yourself, boy, because you nearly cost us the final, son. But my God, it looks good, right? It looks good. Reece James finally lifted that trophy. It's been a long time coming. And one thing I want to say, I think this is a nice looking trophy. I'm not saying it's
that was what I wanted to say as well. It looks nice. I actually think it looks better than the Europa League one.
I agree.
Yeah.
It looks, I don't know, the Europa League, I guess, if the Europa League wasn't a second tier trophy, it would be kind of nice because it looks kind of almost so like old, almost like historical. But because it's the Europa League, it doesn't really run. So it's like, don't try to give me an old looking trophy. Just give me a trophy. Do you know what I mean? I do like this one. Minor criticism with Reece James, a bit of practice with the trophy lifting. Hold the trophy a bit lower down next time. But, we're moaning at the high level now. John Terry can keep him goal tomorrow.
The thing I noticed, the trophy looks nice, but it's terrible to hold. Because it's thinner in the middle, but it doesn't get much bigger. So I guess it could slip through your fingers because the Europa League trophy it spans a little bit more sideways. Because this looks like awful to hold, nice to look at, I must say.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. It's probably a fingerprint magnet as well, which doesn't.
For sure.
But let me just get to a couple of messages in the chat. Joel said, "We've won it all. We've won it all." We've won it all. Poor old Arsenal, the only team in London to fail to win its European competition. Specialists in failure. We did it, boys. Max P says we've won it all. Maresca needs to stop playing Gusto like that. Reece James, my captain, is back. Champions of Europe again. London is blue forever. As I've said earlier, if you don't want to get booed, play better. And we certainly did that in the second half. Well done, lads. We've won it all. Palmer remembered he has the naughtiest turn going. It's true. Palmer remembered that he's actually a good player. And from one second to the other, boy, what a difference it made. Boy, what a difference it made.
I mean,
we've won it all. What's the ultimate man of the match? We'll get to this later. Dylan, gone, Dimitar, gone.
This is literally a small microverse of our season. When Palmer does not turn up, we look like a completely different team, and then he turns up and we look like we're the best team in the world. Because the ease with which Palmer played between the 50th and 70th minute, he was just unstoppable. Every single thing he did worked out. His dribbles worked out. The ball stuck to his feet like glue, like we were used to seeing last year, most certainly on the right. So I think the substitutions helped him, but he just unlocked something and was unstoppable. And both crosses were phenomenal. I mean, especially the cross for the Enzo goal. This is like trademark Palmer cross. Like only he can do that in our team for sure. Maybe even in England with the left foot. I'm not sure many players can make that cross from that position.
Oh, yes. I could not agree more. Not many players can play that kind of pass. Thankfully, Enzo Fernandez got his head on it, kind of baited the keeper into going to the wrong end as well. Cole Palmer, man. Cole Palmer. That honestly, I was really annoyed. I was annoyed at almost the entirety of the team in the first half, but particular players like Palmer, a bit Enzo Fernandez as well, where I'm like, come on, man. Like, show me something.
We looked like we were hungover in the first half, literally. Like, even simple passes were not working. Like, it looked like Caicedo and Gusto in the midfield is like they were playing both with a blindfold, or they could not see each other. Because literally, Gusto had the easiest pass available next to him, which was Caicedo, and he does something stupid. Like, he did that a couple of times. It's like Caicedo was invisible for him, and that was extremely frustrating.
A mask. That was the problem.
Yeah. Also, the hair. Yeah, he could not recognize him with that new hair color.
Hey. When the game started, I was like, who is this blonde guy in our midfield? What has happened? Like, who is this? I've not seen someone blonde in our team. What happened? And I was like, oh.
A friend of mine in a chat wrote to me, the only reason we won is because they put out a player in the second half with the worst hair color than Caicedo. That's the only reason we won.
God,
I mean, what was that guy even doing?
I hope his wife's pregnant. They don't know like the gender yet or something, because otherwise, what on earth is he doing?
This looked like those gender reveal things where you go to the barber, he gives you this, and then you go home, you take a shower, and whichever color stays, that's the baby gender. It's like, it's one of those things.
That's actually pretty good, though. Imagine. My God. Sammy says, Palmer, 2 assists, 4 goals in 25 minutes. Can't believe we did it, mate. Neither can I. Because that's the thing. Like, we talk about second half. It took us a hot minute in the second half to get going and, equalize. And then, but once we equalize, the floodgates open. Like, and that's honestly, I mean, our group chat was very negative in the first half. I mean, all of us included that, I suppose. But I still, at the beginning of the second half, said, we're still winning this. Was it at the time false optimism, like, manifesting it, talking myself into it? Maybe a bit of that. But I still believed. And I felt that once we'd get a goal, we'd kill him.
Oh, yeah.
And thankfully, for once we did that.
The second Enzo scored that goal, we all knew what was going to happen. I mean, the team spirit was back. The team flow was there. You could see also what it meant for them, for him. I think once that first goal went in, it was clear to everyone what's going to happen.
Exactly. I mean, Sammy, Ivan, we won the UCL. I am going to be shameless. I don't care. All right. We won the UCL. Sure we did. We have won it all. We should get in from Joel.
I would love for the first game of the next Premier League season to be against either Manchester United or Arsenal, so our shameless fans can sing Champions of Europe. I mean, this is...
That would be kind of funny. Although I'm not even sure if I would feel slightly embarrassed if we sang Champions of Europe about the country.
I mean, look, like for one game, in the first game of the Premier League season, they should sing that. After that, it would be embarrassing. But for the first game, some tongue-in-cheek.
Hey, we might win the Club World Cup. We might be able to sing Champions of the World.
Champions of the World, yeah. I mean, yeah. That actually,
but no one else.
Actually, now if we win that cup, the season can go from a good season to a decent season to an actually very good season if we win that other cup. So this,
yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm not getting my hopes particularly
yeah,
high up.
I am also not.
Yeah,
I would say that like 3 weeks ago, the season looked like it could go two ways: extremely bad or extremely good. Now we're on the extremely good path, and we're steady on there. Like it can get even better.
Yes, exactly. Joel says we won the European competition in front of us, champions of Europe, unlike the Arsenal. Isen says one trophy, fourth in the Premier League. Congrats, Chelsea. Congrats to you to I think Namibia. Is that a Namibia flag? I think so. Could be wrong though. I'm not perfect with my African flags.
No, it's not Namibia. It's Tanzania, or maybe.
I was thinking Tanzania as well. It's either Namibia or Tanzania, I'm thinking. Isen, let us know where you're from or what flag you use. Maybe you're not even from there, although that would be interesting. Why would you use a random flag?
It's actually Namibia. You are correct. It's Namibia. I just checked. It's Namibia, yes.
There you go. Big up my African flag knowledge. But yeah, I mean, let's get into this game, right? Let me open up PopMob. Let's look at the screen. I mean, this is the lineup that we went with, and this is, I guess, the first thing I want to talk about because there was a few changes in there that, maybe some of us didn't see coming. Jurgensen in goal. We knew that. Maresca confirmed that days ago already that Jurgensen would be the goalkeeper starting. But the back four, I mean, the rest of the team is, we can debate maybe Neto, maybe Madueke, whatever. But the back four, after having such a strong defense for the last few weeks of the season, other than at Newcastle, really. And to be honest, even at Newcastle, other than gifting them that super early goal, they weren't doing that much, really. And then he changed it completely. Now, Cucurella stayed in the team. Badiashile comes in for Colwell. Chalobah comes in for Tosin. And then, most importantly, Malo Gusto comes in for Reece James. Now, I'm not sure where you stand on it, Dimitar, where you're like, how can you not start the captain in a final? At the same time, I'm like, well, the reason he's even available is because we haven't done exactly this, starting him twice in 3 days. That's why he's here. If we did that 2 months ago, he wouldn't be here right now. So I get it, but it's like, oh man, you should have just played like, I don't know, you should have played Tosin and Chalobah just at right back and let Cucurella invert to midfield. I know you could do that because you needed Cucurella on Antony, and if you let Cucurella invert, he would have too much space. So I understand why we didn't do it. But with Reece not available, it was a real problem. It was a real problem. What did you make of the lineup? Go on.
I think you are correct in the sense that it looked like the Newcastle game for me, because in that first half, like I told you previously, the connection between Gusto and Caicedo felt off, and Caicedo was forced to stay very much behind in our own half. And I still believe, and I still say that if he's forced to stay in our own half, our attack suffers. And I think first, when we could get him to attack in the opposition half, to carry the ball, to make some good forward passes, it was only after that when we became dangerous in attack. And I think really maybe also the style of Betis threw us off a little bit, because they were here to play ball, and maybe Maresca did not expect them to play so good, because they played well in the first half. As much as we were terrible, they were good. We can't deny that. And maybe that put us off a bit, which forced Caicedo to stay back and be more cautious. And our midfield play was absolutely non-existent in the first 20 minutes. I felt a bit scared, because I was looking like, what are they doing? Because every single one of their attacks looked like that they could score a goal. I mean, every single one of them. And it looked very bad. And like I said, credit to the manager. He saw something that needed to be tweaked, and he tweaked it, and it worked. And this is how you earn your money. It's almost like these big games, these big decisions when you have to make. Sometimes you will make wrong decisions, of course, but if you make those right decisions, if you impact the games in such a way, this is what will make the fans on your side. This is what will win you the rest of the players as well. Because we saw after the game, they were very much passionate. They loved him. They were hugging around. Everyone was happy, and this is what we want to see. We want to see good team spirit, good cohesion, and a team which trusts the manager, and manager which trusts the team. And a manager who knows, okay, I can tell to my player, okay, you did bad, I'm going to sub you off, but it's nothing personal. And I think probably that's what happened, because as we saw, Gusto was pretty happy after that game. And so probably he felt it was nothing personal, but he just had a bad game. And sometimes you have to do that. You have to do that sub at halftime to really absolutely drastically change the game. And that's what we did. So, I mean, it was,
No, we did have to. I mean, you said it reminded you of the Newcastle game. Honestly, it reminded me a lot of the Man United game, actually, where I felt in the beginning of the game, we were surprised at them pressing man for man. That very thing happened against United. Maresca said after the game. And I think that very same surprise happened today. I don't know if that's a bit naive of Maresca not to expect that. Maybe he thought because they know we're better, they won't try to do that. It felt maybe that because we ran into a similar problem 2 weeks ago, we were maybe a little bit quicker to react to it than in that game. But I did feel at one point in the first half, even when Gusto was still on the pitch, I'm not 1,000% sure how we tweaked it, but we tweaked it a little bit so we started to at least keep the ball a bit better. We weren't good yet, and we were still making mistakes, and our confidence was still shot, but we still got a hold in the game a little bit better.
Yeah, for sure.
It's also Betis taking the lead, right? Therefore, obviously, after that, they were starting to
I think that's it. And even though they took the lead, they were still dangerous up until maybe the 40th minute. And in the last 5 minutes of the half, they were clearly trying to protect the lead. So that is where we got a bit of confidence back, I believe, in the last 5 minutes of the first half. We also had some kind of a semi-chance to sneak a goal there, to scam a goal in a corner or something like that. So, yeah, definitely this is what happened. And you're right. When I think about it, it really looked like the first 20, 25 minutes of the Manchester United game. You're right.
Exactly, because obviously United did score. It was just ruled out by VAR.
So of course.
Similarity was there. Because this is always the thing, and it was the Man United game was a bit like that. Even the Forest game was a bit like that. Sometimes you don't start a game well, and then it's about hanging on. Against Newcastle, we didn't hang on. Against United, we did. Against Forest, we did. Today we didn't, but today we played a team nowhere near as good, and so we battered them in the second half. But, this is the advantages you get of being in the Conference League, I suppose. But you could also feel it in the first half. That obviously gave Real Betis a boost. Their fans were super loud in the stadium. But you could see that we got nervous. I mean, obviously, there was a few players that looked nervous already before we conceded, like Gusto. But after that, honestly, I think the fear of the ridicule, the embarrassment, the criticism they'd receive by losing this final, I think that's what then got them scared. After going 1-0 down, it took them a while to get back into it.
I mean, I think I told you that either our last stream or in our chat. I think that if we didn't qualify for a Champions League, I was sure we're going to lose this final, because the confidence then would have been absolutely shot. But I think maybe qualifying for the Champions League, those resilient performances in the last 2-3 games, maybe that also gave them that little bit of extra confidence, because sometimes in football, the margins are so small that the difference between you being on top of the world and being on the bottom is like one own goal, like in the Europa League final, which was fine margins. So I think this victory and the qualification for the Champions League will be, or at least I hope they will be building blocks of something much, much better to come.
You'd hope so. Now, this is interesting. Now, one verse, obviously, if we're waiting for someone to be negative, one verse has got our back. He says, Maresca nearly ended the game even before the ball was kicked. How do you start a cup final with your worst centre-back? A chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Badiashile needs to be urgently sold off. Now, where do you stand on this, Dimitar? Now, on the one hand, I can understand what one verse is saying. On the other hand, I'm like a bit like with Jurgensen. Badiashile played, I think, maybe every round of the Conference League until here. So it is a little bit harsh if they then don't get to play. But that also applies to Dewsbury, and that didn't matter all of a sudden. So, it's like one kind of story for one player and one kind of story for another player. Honestly, I know a lot of people were super critical of Badiashile. I didn't actually have that much of a problem with Badiashile today. Now, he did misplace a couple passes, but whenever we broke them in the first half, when we broke their press, when we broke the lines, it was always Badiashile's pass. And he was the only one for me from the back line that passed with enough pace to actually beat the press and beat the lines. I didn't think Chalobah was doing it. I didn't even think Ogrea was doing it. But it's just...
He really
what do I do when the opponent presses me well? But I know the best way to beat them is to get through their press. Do I then keep trying this, or do I stop at some point? I don't know. But
the thing is, you are right. He played well and he looked okay. But I think here also, I didn't notice it that much. But now thinking of it, really the team cohesion in the defensive part looked off. And Gusto, of course, made all of the mistakes, and maybe he was the spotlight of us not playing well. But I think the cohesion was off. And even if we say, okay, Colwill maybe would not have played better, or Badiashile has started every single game, maybe with Colwill there, we would have had a bit more cohesion. Because, like, really, it just looked off, and you are right, it took us maybe 30-35 minutes to settle into the game and to be able to keep the ball more. And this was crucial because we needed to calm our nerves. Now, of course, it's speculation. And like we said, Badiashile didn't do almost anything wrong. He was at no fault for the goal. So it would be harsh to put it on him, but maybe it is a factor that maybe you should stick to a more experience, or to a back line which has more experience playing together. Because I think in this form of the back line and Caicedo in front of them, correct me, but maybe this is the first time we see this setup this season. I'm not sure if Chalobah, I mean, we know Chalobah came back in the winter, so I'm not sure if we ever saw Gusto, Chalobah, Badiashile, and Cucurella playing together as a back four. And like trying maybe a new back four in a final is not the wisest thing I would do.
No,
but
I mean, I'm not sure. I feel like maybe it happened in one of the earlier Conference League rounds, but usually when Badiashile played, he played with Tosin. That was because at the time Tosin wasn't usually in the Premier League team, but obviously over the last couple of weeks he now was. So yeah, as a four, I probably agree, but I think Badiashile has played a fair bit with Chalobah.
Oh, no, he has. But maybe if they played with Tosin, they should have stuck with Tosin, because Tosin also played phenomenally in the last times we saw him in the Premier League. So maybe that also was a potential change which could have been made. But yeah, I mean,
it's difficult, isn't it? Because it was already slightly harsh on Chalobah getting dropped for Tosin in the first place at the time, because Chalobah, I know we lost against Newcastle, but Chalobah wasn't the problem in that game, right? So obviously it worked out brilliantly, but when the United lineup came out, I was like, why did we drop Chalobah for? So it's like if Chalobah then doesn't play doesn't play Forest, and doesn't play today either, it would have felt a little bit harsh, and I don't think that's that much of a quality difference. But in terms of Tosin's leadership, but I think it's also like if you play Chalobah but keep Reece, no problem. If you play Tosin and maybe with Gusto, it's also fine. But I think Gusto himself, honestly, oh man, I mean, he's had a poor season overall, right?
Yeah,
let's get it straight. But what he was doing today, I mean, what was he doing? Honestly, he seemed almost overwhelmed by all the information that he was trying to follow, like all the instructions. Like he felt like he was so focused on where he had to run, where he had to go, where he had to look, that whenever he got the ball, he seemed so rushed. But it wasn't only on the ball where he was making mistakes. Obviously, the mistake that in the end led to the goal against us. But his defending against their left winger, he stood no chance. He got absolutely put on toast all night.
He looked like they took a random fan and placed him at right back, and Maresca told him some instructions 1 hour before the game. That's what it looked like. I mean, every time the left winger was against him, he got past like a traffic cone. It was insane. I mean, it looked very worrying. I'm not gonna lie.
It really did. It really did. And honestly, Gusto, man, like I said, you've had a poor season anyway. But in these situations, and it honestly reminded me a bit of Lavia at Newcastle. Like, you just cannot make this kind of error in that position. Like you said it earlier, he had an easy pass next to him. Like, yes, I know we try to play line-breaking passes, but his pass wasn't even line-breaking. His pass is the one pass you get taught as a 6-year-old kid when you first play football. Do not play a cross in front of your box. That's the first thing you learn.
Right. But usually that's when you're under pressure, and sometimes he wasn't even under pressure. Like, I know we said they had some sort of a man-to-man press, but in some of the passes when he made mistakes, there was almost no pressure on him. He had the time to make the right pass, which was also open almost all the time. And he just made it like, I really don't know what happened to him, but yeah, hopefully he can get a nice rest after the Club World Cup, or even now. I mean, I wouldn't be bothered if Maresca picks 2 or 3 players from this side and says, "Okay, guys, go take this tournament off. Go rest." I wouldn't be bothered if we do that. I mean, even if he does that to Palmer, I think Palmer also needs a rest. Not that he's not important, but sometimes you should be able to make difficult choices. Say, okay, this player needs a rest. It's much more important to get him fit and firing for next season, and to get him in the mood. And some of our players, I feel, are not in the mood, and Gusto is one of them. and I think he could use some rest and some time to think about stuff and to just reflect on his season. And hopefully he can be back for the preseason fresh and ready, because we're gonna need a big squad next season. We qualified for the UCL, and
but to be fair, with how Gusto played this season, I don't really want to see him play Champions League.
yeah, but I mean, the thing is, I'm sure that he can bring his level up from what it is now. Can he reach the levels of the season past? I don't know. Maybe that was a fluke, but he can surely play better than what we saw today. I mean, I think this should be good.
Right. I mean, honestly, who I haven't even mentioned, there's a case that you should have played Josh Achimpong. Now, sure, he's 18, and if you're talking about Gusto being nervous, Achimpong probably would have been nervous too. But Achimpong played all the last 4 rounds?
Yeah, he played some games. Yeah, he could have started him. I mean, I would have had no
situation. Yeah. He's looked a lot more comfortable coming into midfield than Malo Gusto has. Now, let's be frank, Malo Gusto has done this at Anfield, while Josh Achimpong was doing it at Djurgården. Not the same thing, but still, we also still played in a Conference League, and we didn't play Liverpool today. Yeah, Malo Gusto, you've had a stinker. I just want to talk about, well, first of all, get your tinfoil hats out. Turbo is saying the owners wanted a win for the money, but the instructions were to put Gusto, Badiashile, etc. in the shop window. And I don't think so. And if anything, that backfired because they've all decreased their values today. So good job. But one verse is back with a question. He says, Laurenz, who was responsible for the goal by Betis scored? I assume you're talking separate things because I can't imagine you're saying Jurgensen is at fault. But
no,
he can't be. But he says Jurgensen started, but Sanchez is not 1,000% clearly better than Jurgensen. For Gusto, we can argue he's starting managing James' injury. Well, now you can call me biased. In the end, we won 4-1, so it doesn't really matter. Let's be honest, you can have, obviously Gusto gave the ball away. Obviously Gusto is the main guy at fault. Badiashile didn't look amazing straight after the ball was given away either. But let's be honest, Pedro Neto was fouled with a foul that wasn't just even a foul. It was at least a yellow card. Like the guy was flying in, studs up at knee height. And the referee, like I'm not saying he should be sent off by any means, right? But it was clearly a foul. I don't know how he gave, like, did he say was a dive? Did he say there was no contact? Like, the replay, he's, like, Neto just got tripped. Like, I understand, obviously, this is not a VAR intervention situation because the ref blew the whistle, therefore stopped the game, therefore VAR can't go back that far. If the ref just didn't do anything, then nothing would have happened. But because he didn't give a foul, but still made it very clear that he saw this situation, I was like, bro, you're just looking at it. I mean, Dimitar, you don't seem as convinced as I am by this, but
I didn't even notice it. I saw it one time and I didn't notice it being so harsh. Like maybe if I look it back again, maybe I will agree with you, but it didn't even stuck in my mind, to be honest. So
let me see.
I mean, the ref had some small dodgy decisions, in my opinion, but he wasn't like, I mean, even if we had lost, it was not going to be because of the ref, I think. But
I mean, no, but I still think this goal in particular is, if there's, for me, there was a clear foul and they then we don't get the free kick and they end up scoring like, 20 seconds later or something. But yeah,
I mean,
if you're not as clear on it as I am, then clearly it's not as adamant as I am.
The thing is, it didn't. Maybe I was too mad at the goal, at us being on the ropes for 20 minutes, and I didn't even look at the foul that much because they were really playing better than us, and they deserved that goal. Whatever, even if it was a foul, if we say it was a foul and so stuff like that, they played better than us, and they looked like scoring a goal. So I think also Gusto, it's not the problem that he made that specific mistake, is that literally every single thing he did was a mistake. He got passed by, he misplaced passes, he misplaced his positioning sometimes. Like really he looked off, and this was the problem. Like for their goal, I think Jurgensen had nothing to do with the goal, like 0% blame. So
yeah,
maybe
it was a really good shot. I have to say to you, guy, it was a really good shot because he pulled the trigger super quick.
I mean, yeah. If we had scored such a goal, we would all be happy. Like if Jackson, if Noni, if Sancho, if Palmer scored that goal, we would all be flying in joy. Like it was a nice goal from their point of view.
It was a really nice goal. We're not quite on the topic of Maresca in detail yet, but I've just seen a few quotes, a couple of them quite funny. So I'll bring those out and we'll look at those for a second.
I
And
mean,
we'll move on.
Maresca's been given it the big one, and I think he has the right to. He achieved his goal, so he can say whatever he wants.
Exactly.
That's
Well,
how it works.
Say again.
I mean, that's how it works. If you achieve your goals and if you succeed, you're like king of the world. I mean,
exactly. As long as you walk the walk, you can talk the talk.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
Exactly. Maresca says, listen, I promise you, I will play Reece every game if I could. I'm trying to protect him. He's played more than he ever has in the last 3 years. But yeah, this is the case. The question is, could you have taken him off after 60 minutes on Sunday? But obviously, had he done that and then it goes wrong, he would have had the criticism then, right? So there's never doing it perfectly. Then Maresca says, when I bring Reece on, he said, don't worry, boss, we're going to win this game. To be honest, I felt a little bit like this, even though the first half didn't really give us any reasons to feel like this. But then the funny part, Maresca to Mikel Antonio, probably yes, in terms of, are we going to sign a striker? But you're too old. That is funny. First of all, it would help if you had 2 working legs, but, you're also a bit old. I don't think for Maresca, just for, our ownership. But we've focused a lot about the first half. We've focused a lot about this goal, on Malo Gusto's struggles and whatever whatever else happened in the first half. Let's talk about the second half. And I just want to bring up, these are the total stats. We won on XG, obviously not quite super clearly, but still won. They had more shots in total, but obviously a lot less on target. But now I'm just going to highlight the stats for the second half.
We battered them. We battered them. I don't need to see the stats.
I mean, they still had 6 shots, but they had 1 shot on target compared to our 6. We had 4 big chances. We had 1.21 XG, but scored 4 goals out of it. I mean, they didn't even get to 100 passes. I mean, this second half was...
The thing is, they were also tired because I think they gave it all in the first half. And the second also, you could see on their faces. The second our first goal went in, their faces were like, oh no. Because they could feel that their strength is leaving them a bit because they're also a bit of an older side. I think they had 5 or 6 players over 30. And so they're like...
Isco is their main guy, right? And he was slow even when he was 25, let alone at 35. So, and they have Ricardo Rodriguez, there's the Swiss formerly left back, now is centre back. I mean, he was slow at 25, let alone now at 35. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's a tricky one. I mean, you make the point they got tired, absolutely. And I think here's what you saw, one of the many reasons why I said and why I was so confident going into this final. Now, my main approach was I assumed we were going to make Real Betis park the bus, not because they scored early, but because we were better than them. In the end, it happened anyway. But in my logic, it was like Real Betis are a Spanish team. Spanish teams, other than Atletico Madrid, do not know how to park the bus.
Yeah.
They're not used to doing it. Yes, they can do it for a certain period in a game, but they're not used to pressing like that. They're not used to defending like that. And them doing it for a certain period was always going to tire them out.
Yeah.
And there was always going to end up being gaps. And this is what you get when you play, like Burnley, they don't get tired of parking the bus because they do this every game. But Real Betis, Spanish teams are not used to this. So for them, this is not normal.
The thing is also, it could have worked if Palmer didn't turn up like he did. It could have worked. I mean, we also have to acknowledge that. Like I said, Maresca did what he should have done. The team, they stepped up, but it was Palmer who was leading the charge. Without him, I'm not sure, or maybe we win, but I'm not sure we win that game so easily. Without him, this is a completely different second half in every single aspect. It's like he was unplayable. And this is what we want to see more often, and this is what we lacked in the last 4 months. If we had this Palmer against Ipswich, if we had this Palmer against against Everton in the winter, we would have been comfortably second. Yeah, we would have been comfortably second this year, which would have been a phenomenal success. And like sometimes things happen in football, you get a run of bad luck, you get a run of good luck, but like tonight, Palmer he showed his class. And even though it's only Real Betis, it's still a final. Like, if you can do it on this stage, this is for me also a very good sign.
Yeah, and Palmer's record now in 5 finals that he's featured in, by the way, is 3 goals, 2 assists. So not a bad record to have in 5 finals, especially at such a young age. But yeah, now he was, again, in the first half, terrible, just like the large majority of the team was, other than Correa and maybe Chalobah. Also, a little shout out to Jurgensen, because today was proof that all these long balls by Sanchez don't necessarily all have to be bad. They could be good if you're playing it to your teammate.
They don't have to be bad. It's not a Maresca instruction to Sanchez. Make the most useless long ball in the world. Let's confuse the opponent.
I mean, maybe sometimes it works. But in the first, I mean, I was annoyed. He wasn't competing for balls. There were second balls in the air above him. He was kind of backing out of the channel. I was getting really annoyed. But then in the second half, it felt like he realized I need to do a bit more here.
Yeah, literally, he woke up. Yeah. Like it's like if you've watched Lord of the Rings, the King of Rohan, before and after. Like it was the same. He was a completely different person. He just like he took the game by the scruff of the neck and he just won. Like no two opinions about this.
Exactly, because not only did he play that cross to Enzo Fernandez, or was it before the second goal, where he had like both of the first 2 goals that were scored, both obviously so wonderfully assisted by Cole Palmer. And not only was it the pass itself that was good, it was the movement before to get away from the guy that was trying to mark him, to find himself the space to put the cross in, especially the second one. I mean, is it shocking defending by the defender? Yeah, of course.
Oh, yeah.
But, that's part of the game. It was shocking defended by Gusto and by us for them to take the lead. That's part of football. Yeah. Very often, mistakes by the opposition help.
Also, the first goal, the first goal looked like something from last season, where you have Madueke on the right, just like sprinting and pulling a defender a bit on the right. And you have Palmer, who has the freedom of the world to take a step back, look up, and just like make this phenomenal curved ball into the box, which is unsavable for defenders and unsavable for a keeper if the attacker gets a good contact with the ball. Like this is the best type of cross, and we have missed that in the last 4 or 5 months from Palmer. We can't deny that. Hopefully we can figure something out for next season to see that more regularly.
Yeah, yes, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think it's going to be interesting how Palmer is going to be next season, because obviously at that first wonder season, and he was still an incredible first half of this season. Then it slowed down. It wasn't like that he was shocking every single time he played, but he just stopped being as effective. Let's call it effective. Partly was because he was playing the left channel and struggling. Partly was bad form and missing chances and then losing confidence. But partly, I think, as much as I think the fact that he's so nonchalant, this sometimes helps him to deal with pressure. I think that he's so nonchalant sometimes makes him take a bit too long to realize I need to do a bit more than just be good. Like you need to, sometimes it's not enough to just be naturally talented.
Maybe, yeah.
Sometimes you need to just, like Hazard did against Spurs in that Battle of the Bridge. He was like, yeah, I know I'm good, but this is a day where you need to just want it and take it. And I think that's in the second half what Palmer did. And earlier, as soon as he set up that first goal, the floodgates started to open. The second followed so soon after. And it was beautiful to see. I mean, that someone said it in the chat earlier, it was like 4 goals in 25 minutes. Like from the 65th to the 90th, it was 25 minutes and we got all the 4 goals. By the way, Ricky, thank you very much for the super chat. We've won it all. Big up Maresca for the subs. And yes, one of the subs that we haven't touched on yet, obviously Reece James at halftime, that changed a lot. It took him 45 seconds to play the first dangerous pass. But the third goal, and the goal that I guess sealed the win, because at 2-1, obviously they could have still come back into it. The goal that sealed the game today was Jadon Sancho. And honestly, Madueke on the left in the first half, Neto on the right in the first half. I mean, bloody hell, they were shocking.
They were shocking.
Remained shocking after. Still better on the right than on the left, but still remained shocking. But Sancho it was so different. Like, it was very, very different. It just felt like a completely different kind of situation had all of a sudden occurred in our team. It's like, okay, we had a player who you could give the ball to, and he wouldn't every time pass it back, because every time Madueke got the ball, he passed it back to Correa every single time.
Not only that, sometimes he tried to dribble and he failed and nothing happened. It's like he looked so out of out of his body, out of position on that left wing in the first half. It was insane. Like, he played some decent games as a left winger in the last month, maybe, or had some decent moments. This first 45 minutes was absolutely awful. And Sancho, like, he did something completely differently. Like you said, he didn't just waste every opportunity he had with the ball. He tried something and it actually worked. And I think this caught the Betis defense so off guard, because they got used to playing against Madueke. He was useless. And like, that goal was also something special for sure.
Yes, it was really special. Just a quick little shimmy to get it around the defender and hit it straight away. I mean, this is the third really good goal like this he scored this season. Obviously, he scored Spurs away, then he scored that absolute worldie against Ipswich, and now he did it again today. Now, obviously, you can argue 3 goals are still not enough, but these are 3 really good goals. I'm not saying 3 goals is enough, but these 3 are 3 really good goals.
The thing is, for example, the thing is, let's say also Neto. Neto has 4 goals in the Premier League, but I personally liked Neto more as in his overall play for the past couple of months. And Sancho, apart from those goals, sorry, but he's been completely anonymous. He's been absolutely useless apart from those goals. Unlike Neto, who, at least in my opinion,
I think Sancho gets a bit of a... No one thinks of Sancho as someone that works hard, so no one pays attention to this. While Neto, everybody thinks he's a hard worker, so you always... Every time Sancho has played, I see him... To me, I watch it, I'm like, I'm surprised how hard he's working. That was me every time. So yes, he didn't do a lot of special things. And for example, when he started against Forest, literally on Sunday, he was terrible until he came off. He was absolutely useless. Basically, he was like Noni was today.
No. That is true. It's not like we have much better options, but Sancho really, at least I felt, it was one of the reasons why our attack looked so toothless in the last 5 months, because when Palmer's having an off day, we know Jackson is inconsistent, then you have Sancho, Noni, and Neto, and they are all like extremely inconsistent, and sometimes the inconsistency overlaps, and we just have like 4 useless people on the pitch who don't know where they are. And this is why we barely scored any goals, and this is why we had to win like 5 or 6 games 1-0. And if at the beginning of the season someone would have told you we're going to clinch Champions League, making 1-0 wins, you were going to say, oh, so we sacked Maresca and got Mourinho in the middle of the season. Like, this is not what was supposed to happen. No one was expecting this, and at the end of the day, this is what we had to do because our attack was so toothless. And like I said, Sancho has had these moments. He's not been super terrible, but I think his overall play should be better. Like, he should offer more.
Yeah,
I can see not that. Only him, of course, but I think he should, because he can. We've seen he can. He was probably the most dangerous winger of the Champions League elimination stage last year. He was the most dangerous person. He had most take-ons, most dribbles, and a boatload of statistics. And we saw none of that this season, apart from maybe 2 weeks in the beginning of the season. We saw none of that.
Very sporadically, for sure. I mean, Joel said here, keep Sancho. Where do you stand on that, Dimitar? Now, my brother texted me that he was watching Maresca's interview after the game, and when asked about Sancho, he kind of evaded the question a bit. So make of that what you will. Chances are maybe the club has already made their decision. But what would your decision be on Sancho? That he would cost 25 million, especially keeping in mind who we are linked to instead of him potentially?
So for me, the key thing here would be, do we know if Mudryk will be able to play for us ever again, first of all? And second of all, are we confident that we can get a better player instead of Sancho? So in the universe where we are confident we can get Rodrigo, I would be fine swapping Rodrigo for Sancho. But in the universe where we can't get anyone, even on Rodrigo's level, then getting rid of Sancho and then also realizing we don't have Mudryk would be stupid, because then we have to buy 2 less wingers, or at least 1 high-profile winger. Can we?
And that's the problem, right? The names we are linked to in terms of left wingers are Jamie Gittins and Alejandro Garnacho. Obviously the Rodrigo link is there, but I don't really personally see that happening unless we let them have Enzo Fernandez. Now that's then a whole different conversation, I suppose. But like if you're telling me keep Sancho or buy, like I say, Rodrigo, Rafael Leao, I can't Kvaratskhelia or Barcola or Desiree Doué, if we were linked to those names, sure, then I'm like, yeah, of course. Pay the 5 million loan fee, essentially. Send Sancho back, get someone much better. But before signing Jamie Gittins for double the money that we'd have to pay for Jadon Sancho, before we sign Garnacho for more than double the money that we'd have to buy for that we have to pay for Garnacho, just get Sancho. I still absolutely believe that Sancho is very much a confidence player and a feeling happy player. And I think if you make the guy feel trusted and make him feel like, give
If
him
you
a
buy
hug.
him the new PlayStation.
Yeah, no, exactly. But, like everything that's happened with him at Man United, obviously leaving Dortmund, wanting to fulfill that dream, going to United, but then that doesn't really work out. Ten Hag sends him to the Netherlands to work on his mental health. Then he comes back, falls out with the manager, goes to Dortmund, gets sent back. They don't want him. They ship him out again. It's like, I think if you are that kind of player and you had such hype around you when you were in your early 20s, and then everything just falls to pieces, kind of. And a bit like what Antony experienced at Man United as well, if we're being honest, or Højlund now as well. Then what these people need is somewhere where they feel like, let me not be cringe, but almost safe. Like in terms of, I'm not just going to get slated and
No, I get what you mean. You are right.
Just
no,
but I think
football is a
from this season and this second half of the season, I think it's our fault that he's not been better. Because the fact that this whole situation of do we keep you, do we not, is exactly what you don't need to do with him. Yeah. And I think it's exactly why he didn't play better.
The thing is, you are right. Basically, after it was leaked that we have this 5 million breakup clause fee thing, then maybe after that his form completely went down the drain. There could be a correlation there. You are right. But my point was more, let's say that we don't buy anyone and we get Sancho, and then we start next season with Sancho and Tyreek George as our left-wing options and the occasional Madueke on the left. I am personally fine with that as an experiment, but the problem is that can go very, very wrong. If you start a season only with those two, and let's say either one gets injured and the other does nothing, or they both do nothing, then you are in the middle of October and November having no left wing and being in a bad position. The next thing is also, like I said, do we have a better version?
Sorry, I need to interrupt you quickly. You basically said if both get injured. Yeah, but if two players in one position get injured, that's a problem anywhere.
I know, but let's say hypothetically, in my opinion, I see two ways. Either we keep Sancho and he's the main guy, or we have to replace him with someone who will be the main guy. That's my point. Now, as you said,
I would love for Sancho to be the backup left winger. I can't lie. Send George on loan, make Sancho the backup left winger, and buy a good one. But that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah,
that would be the ideal for me.
I mean, okay, so let's say we get Rodrigo and Sancho's his backup. That would also be okay for me, but I just don't see that scenario happening. What I see is either us selling Sancho or not taking Sancho and then spending 150 million on two wasted 22-year-old wingers, or we buy Garnacho and have Sancho as his backup, which also I don't like this version. So this is going to be an interesting discussion, but maybe you're also right that if Maresca avoided the question, maybe they have already decided to send him back. But
I wouldn't be surprised at all. If I'm being honest.
But I guess we should find out soon, because I would doubt we bring him to the Club World Cup only to send him back the day after. So maybe the decision will be made in the next few days, finally. I would believe.
Probably. Whether we'll know about it immediately, I don't know. But yeah, Joel, like you, Dimitar, do we know what's happening with Mudryk, with Misha? We haven't heard anything about the B sample yet. Also, I haven't heard anything in the background of people where I'm like, if someone would know, I feel like these people would know and I would have heard something.
But wasn't
he heard about the first failed drug test like 4 days before it first came out? And so I was always like, surely I'll hear about this B sample. But there's just been nothing.
He was with the team. He was taking pictures with fans. Like, why? Why has no one said anything about his situation? Then the team just bring him on, and he is also, I think, he qualifies for a medal, or I'm mistaken.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he played all the group games, didn't he? Until that point. So it's weird. I mean, this was the first time we've seen him out and about. Yesterday there was a video going around of Chelsea fans literally singing his song to his face in a pub, and he seemed, as much as he's a bit shy and seemed to not really know what to do. I think he enjoyed it.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I would also enjoy fans singing my name in a pub like that.
Exactly, especially after the few months he's had, it's probably not felt a lot of like appreciation like that. But the thing is, even if Mudrik's B sample came back fine now, or somehow it comes out that it's all been a whole big dodgy mess up and everything actually is fine, he's now been out of the game for 7-8 months. I know sometimes injured players obviously have this too, but when you're injured, you're still working on rehab. I know he's, I'm sure, trained privately, but he's not been allowed to be even a Cobham. He's not been allowed to take part in training. Like, even if he was, allowed back in the squad next season, is he instantly a valid option after 8 months away from the club, in a sense? Like, I don't even know. Honestly, I don't even know. But maybe we shouldn't spend too much time speaking about Mudryk on a day where Mudryk wasn't involved and we won 4-1. What we didn't touch on yet is that Caicedo goal at the end. A little bit of 1-2, 1-2, 1-2 between Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez. Enzo Fernandez, obviously scoring the first goal, getting the assist for the last goal. Them two together, even though there's certainly things to criticize Enzo Fernandez about sometimes. I was very unhappy with him, or let's say unhappy with him, over the last 2 games against Forest and United. I thought he was quite poor in both of them. He was very poor in the first half today, but I still think he is, you can feel sometimes
he's getting better.
One of the few that has a bit of a winning gene in him. And I feel like
he's consistent. I think we can now safely say he started to consistently get better. Now, of course, he should also because when he's not playing well, he's like a 5.5 to a 6. If he manages to bring up that to a 6.5 to a 7, when he's just having an average, normal random game without anything flashy, then he would be a perfect player for us. Because when he's playing well, he's a 7.5 to an 8.5. He makes his impact on the game, and we are happy to see him. But when he's having those quiet games, he's just too quiet, in my opinion. If he can work on that a little bit, if the manager can tweak something, can help him be more involved in play where he's not being on his top of his game, then I think it will truly unlock our midfield. Because I still have some issues in certain moments. We still don't look like we've completely gelled in there. And there is more room to grow for both of them, for Caicedo and for Enzo. And for the potentially third midfielder or inverting right, left, whatever back.
100%. I mean, there's a lot of potential. So we need to just try to see, figure things out. Obviously, we were finished up being the third best defense in the league. It's interesting, sometimes South managers, they focus on sealing up shop at the back. You can see the 20 less goals than the season before. And then after that, you start to improve on the attacking. Is that positive thinking? Maybe, maybe not. Next season will tell. I'm just going to scroll through a few of the pictures because, by God, there is a lot. But they're beautiful. I love a trophy celebration. James and Correa hugging, Palmer with the trophy, Caicedo. What a picture this is, by the way. Obviously a few more of the trophy lift itself. There's got to be dozens, right? There's got to be dozens. You see Tyreek George with Guiu there. Madueke with the trophy. I mean, I'm just going to scroll through it. At the end of the day, I just want to focus on a little bit of a recap of the Conference League, I guess. Like, when we qualify for the Conference League by, Manchester City bottling the FA Cup final, essentially, United winning it, therefore costing us Europa League, after we thought win the Europa League, essentially, because we all expected City to win the FA Cup final, and the FA Cup final, obviously, this year it was before the league finished. Last year it was still the weekend after. And then all of a sudden, oh shit, we're not even in Europa League, we're in the Conference League. And then you got the draw. Well, first of all, we not even were we only in the Conference League. We even had to play qualifying against Servette, where we won at home. Then we lost that away game before even the draw, and we was all like, "Oh my days, what's going to happen?" Then we got the draw, and it was Noah and Panathinaikos and Heidenheim and a few others. And it was like
this Kazakhstani team. It was not Astana.
Astana, yeah, of course.
Oh yeah, Astana. Yeah, we played Astana. Yeah.
And yeah, it's it wasn't pretty at times, especially that Astana away game. I remember when Renato Vega, will he ever be back or not? When he got absolutely battered for that Astana goal away, I'm like, what is happening? What am I watching? And then honestly, the group stages, the knockout stages were not easy. Like, first round was Copenhagen, the most difficult still in my opinion. I still think to this day, including the final, they were the most difficult opponent we faced in the competition. Over also, 2 legs. Gone.
The Polish team, was it Wisla? They were also tough opposition. They caused us some problems.
Yeah, Legia Warsaw, wasn't it? Legia.
Legia Warsaw, yeah, sorry, Legia Warsaw, yes.
When we won 3-0 away, obviously then we lost at home, but it was after winning 3-0 away. So I think
Yeah, no, but still, like it didn't feel good, like, because they came to play in the second game. That they did not surrender easily. Yeah.
Absolutely not. Absolutely. But then obviously we had Djurgården in the next round, still twice very difficult atmospheres to face, definitely in Warsaw and in Stockholm. Absolutely. But at the end of the day, I'm very happy that we won this trophy, 95%, because of the bragging rights that we are now the only club to have won all European trophies, to truly be able to say we've won it all. In isolation, the Conference League doesn't do everything for me, but it's one of those things where it's like winning it was the must, losing it would have been a catastrophe. Genuinely, like how I felt in this first half, even though we got Champions League, I was like, I don't care, sack Maresca. This would have been like the most embarrassing result in the club's history, in my opinion. I say history. I'm sure when we got relegated in the 70s or 80s, you can argue that. Let's say since the 90s, this would have been the most embarrassing individual.
Top three most embarrassing, at least. Yeah, at least.
Exactly. Like maybe how we got slapped as Champions League winners by Atletico in that Super Cup, that was bad as well. Or obviously going out in the group stages the season after, but that was not one individual game, right? This, like, the first half is like, no. You cannot be acting like this. But we did get it done, and we did celebrate the way we should celebrate a trophy. Like, I think what some people sometimes forget, yes, we are Chelsea. Yes, us fans, we have seen dozens of trophies that we've won. Some of us even more than dozens. But this group hasn't. Reece James has, but that's it. Reece James is the only player that's in this squad that has won anything with this club. Enzo Fernandez is one of the only players that has won anything with anyone. Enzo Fernandez, Cucurella, and Cole Palmer. Because Cucurella with Spain, Enzo with Argentina, and Palmer obviously with City. So those four players are the only players in our squad that have won anything ever. So as much as it is only the Conference League, it is huge for us.
It is.
Feeling to make this be a thing for this team. I think it's really, really important. We've lost so many finals of late, not just under this ownership, also the end of Abramovich's ownership under Thomas Tuchel. We've lost so many cup finals. Yeah. And I know, obviously, lesser opponent this time, but it was so crucial. It was so vital that we get the win here. Oh, it meant everything in that sense. Do you agree? Is it not the Conference League its own? It's like how bad it would have been to not win it.
I completely agree. And the thing for me is that you play for what's in front of you. I mean, even if we play in the Johnston Spain trophy, we want to win that because we are Chelsea and we win trophies. So you play in a competition, you want to win it. That's it. That's it. If you don't win it, okay, it's not the end of the world. Yeah, would have been embarrassing, would have been some fan banter, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? But winning it is important because it makes you confident. It gives you experience because this group of players, they were put in a tough spot. I mean, losing 1-0 in the final, playing bad. We could have lost tonight. I mean, I know we all expected to win, and we won comfortably, but we could have lost. If the players had dropped their heads, we could have lost. And now they have this experience.
There was a point in the game where I thought we could easily be 3-0 down here. At the very beginning of the second half, when they had that one chance where they kind of fell over the ball in our box.
Yeah.
They had one big one not long after making it 1-0 where they skied it. It could have been 2-0 at that point and 3-0 at the beginning of the second half. And even at 2-0, I would have been terrified.
No. I mean, the thing is, winning breeds winning. And also being this confident in a position like, okay, we've been there, we were down, we won, we pulled ourselves together. We made a phenomenal end to the season in the Champions League. We won the crucial games. We showed character. This stays with you. This is what makes you great. Like players like Drogba, Terry, Lampard, they did not win because they were Drogba, Lampard, and Terry. They became Drogba, Lampard, and Terry by winning. And this is what sometimes people forget. And this is why also I think maybe our downfall in the last years was not only due to the bully and the Abramovich sanctions and these things. The thing is, we started losing finals. And once you start losing finals, we lost even with Sarri 2019 League Cup final. We lost then with Tuchel, I think, with Lampard one final, with Tuchel 2 finals. These things keep adding up. And then also last year with Poch, we lost another final. And when you start losing finals, you get into that mindset of, oh no, we are 1-0 down. What do we do? Or we're not playing good. It's a final. We're under pressure. It's a final. What do we do? I mean, it's no wonder that when Drogba was at the club, for example, I think we only lost one final with him at the club, or no, two. The Champions League final and the League Cup against Tottenham. And the Champions League final, you can argue if the ref had more thing to do with it, but anyway, Drogba played like 11 or 12 finals for us, and we lost only 2 of them.
Yeah, like he's got like 11 goal contributions in those 11 finals. So is it 11
he also
goals
scored in the final, which we lost against Tottenham. So the thing is, if you have this team spirit, even if you don't have a drop, but the team has to know, okay, I have to do my job because I know that in front of me sits another guy who will also do his job, because you don't know what's going to happen. But if you're Caicedo, if you're Enzo, if you're Palmer, you have to know, I have to do my job because my other teammates will do their job. They will not let me down, so I have to not let them down. And we know we have the confidence to turn things around. And this is something which you get only by winning. You can't coach that. You can't tell that to players. You have to be there and win some games. Sometimes it takes a bit of luck. Sometimes it's only skill. Doesn't matter. Winning is winning. No one will remember if you won with an own goal or if you won 5-0. If you got the medal at the end of the day, if you got the trophy, that's all it matters. And I think this is huge. This is really huge. And yeah, someone will say, oh, Chelsea are celebrating the Conference League big whoop. Well, yeah, for us it is. We won a trophy. We lost a couple of finals in the last years.
And we have players like Vescoli in the squad, you know? Yeah. This is the biggest thing he'll ever see live, you know? So let's be happy. But by the way, you have to respect him. He got the assist for Sancho's goal. So big up Dewsbury. Got on the ball, got on the pitch as a sub, and I swear 2 minutes later he made an assist. So
he was also very good in the Conference League. These were some of his best games for us, some of his best moments. Even though the opposition was very low quality, he was still there. He still showed up. I mean, you can't fault him for that. You can fault him for other stuff, but for that, no.
No, I agree. And he got a couple of goals as well. He should have scored a fair few more than he did, but he still gets some goals. Todd Boehly with the trophy, I guess, is nice, I suppose. I don't know what this headwear is. I think it's Jackson's headwear. All of a sudden, Cucurella is now wearing it.
This looks interesting, to say the least.
Yeah. And by the way, Enzo Fernandez's biceps is huge.
Yep.
Why is it huge like that?
I don't know.
Just lean down, bro. Do a Reece James. You need to have the summer diet of Reece James, please. What is your arm doing being that big? You're not Akin Fenwa, man. Calm down. I don't know about this. But it's a shame not to see Tyreek George at all today, because he's played a lot in the Conference League as well and scored some crucial goals as well in that Legia Warsaw game. He scored the 1-0, obviously. We can't forget that. Yep. And I also think, the combination of Tyreek George and Pedro Neto, kind of the two that saved our season, because that game against Fulham, had we lost that game,
it was over. Yeah, it was over.
Yeah,
it was
literally it's over. But because we won it and the way we won it, I think that released a lot of energy and a lot of.
I mean, this is what I said. Winning breeds winning. Like you have to start winning some big games to get confidence for the next, or not big, but important games, crucial games. Because sometimes a game against Fulham is not a big one, but it can be crucial. It can set you up for more success. And this is what we want. I mean, the end of the season was better than I expected. The middle of the season was worse than I expected. The beginning was pretty much what I expected. But all is well when it ends well.
But did you expect it to be so good at the beginning?
Actually, I think I also told you in our chat, I didn't think we were that good as people made it out to be. I think we got lucky in
terms of results and league position and stuff.
I think maybe we had 5 or 6 points more than we should have had at the beginning of the season, but then for sure in the second half we wasted so many points, it's insane. Or not, maybe the middle of the season. That December-January period was awful. We wasted so much more than we could have gained with luck or stuff like that. So it all evens out. But yeah, I mean, I didn't expect us to be so bad in the middle, and I didn't expect us to be so resilient in the end, for sure.
And that's a good thing. And honestly, whether it's about Maresca or not Maresca, you could say this about this season and last season. This team, as inexperienced and as young as it is, has had two absolutely phenomenal ends to the season when it really matters. Now, obviously, last year we got a bit unlucky with that Man United FA Cup win, because had we made Europa League last year, we would have looked on that season in a much more positive light, I think.
If you remember that Disasi goal, which was disallowed against the Villa, which took us 3 points, that game, if we had gotten that 3 points last year, it would have been a completely different thing, but
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, you are right. They showed some spirit, and this is good to see, because if next season we can also have a third straight season where the last, let's say, 10 games of the season are some of our best games, I'm sure we will be very, very happy at the end of next season as well.
Yes, as we should be. But I don't know on whose photo I want to leave it at. Maybe I'll scroll all the way down to the trophy lift, because maybe that's a good point to end it on. It's just it's relief on the one hand. On the other hand, I was so confident that we'd win that, I was more scared in the first half that I'm like, well, can I really have been that wrong? I'm like, no. Like when we saw this team, and maybe I'll need to bring it up in a second one more time, because that Real Betis team, yes, they have some good players in Isco, and they have a few good players. Antony, obviously, on his day, and that Moroccan winger whose name I forget, who scored the goal.
Yeah, he was good.
And I said this in our group chat, this exact team could easily play for West Ham, probably not even be as good as West Ham's team usually is, and come like 14th in the Premier League.
Oh, no.
This is why this is why I said we should not struggle. They came 6th in the Liga, but they came 10 points behind the team that Manchester United beat 7-2 or 7-1 over 2 legs. You know what I mean? Like, we should have always beat these.
Oh, of course.
But
the
I'm
thing
still
is,
happy
football,
that we beat them, even though we went behind, because that changes the situation, especially in the final. Going a goal down can ruin everything in a final.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, like, and you are right. That the thing is that it's very funny, because people always say, "Oh, the La Liga is so great, it's so good, the football is so much better than the stupid Premier League." Yes, when Real Madrid and Barcelona play, it's probably better than when Ipswich and West Ham play. But I cannot seriously take anyone who thinks that any team outside of Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, and Barcelona would do anything remotely close in the Premier League. Like, these teams, even Villarreal, even Sevilla, they have like 2 or 3 times less budget than Real Madrid, and they have still like 4 or 5 times more budget than the last team in La Liga. The competition in that league is different. The structure is different. The prize money is different. They just can't compete. And I know someone will say, "Oh, but La Liga teams always win the finals." Sure, final is a final. But I think also Man United proved this season that La Liga is not that great as people say. Yeah, sure. Sometimes they have phenomenal games, but we also have that in the Premier League. I mean, we saw some pretty decent games this season, I believe, in this league. So,
yeah, I mean, it's one of those, isn't it? Like, as much as we can sit here as Premier League fans and kind of brag about it, I mean, it's easy to have good teams if you have so much more money. Like, there was like, what, 3-4 windows, like transfer windows in a row, but Chelsea spent more than the entirety of La Liga did.
Sure,
like,
but La Liga's problems is not lack of money, is that Real Madrid and Barcelona get 60% of the total prize money every year. They can finish as the last 2 teams. The marketing, the TV rights money, all goes to them. They don't have a fair system. But
this is a problem for the Premier League in the reverse way. At least for the teams that take part in the Premier League, because being Chelsea, and our owners are experiencing this, even if you put in a lot of money, it's not guaranteed that you make Champions League. And without Champions League, you don't make enough money to fund a high, a
look club. Look at Manchester United. They finish 15th, and they get so much less prize money.
Yeah, but the competition in the Prem is causing this, right? Real Madrid don't have to worry about that. They have a bad season, they come 3rd. We have a bad season, we come at best 8th. If you're Spurs, 17th. You know what I mean? And that doesn't happen in the league. Now, obviously, this wouldn't happen to Liverpool either, to come 17th. But I say that Man United came 15th.
Theoretically, it could. Theoretically, it could, because let's say let's say Liverpool finish 10th next year, then they will get less prize money than the 9 teams who finish in front of them. And if that happens for 5 or 6 years in a row, then all of a sudden you have teams like Aston Villa, like Newcastle, who consistently get more money than you. And this will make a difference. Like, I'm sure that if they increase the money in La Liga for the last 10 teams, they will get better. I mean, it's obvious. It's like it's absolutely no question that. But because Barcelona and Real Madrid take the lion's share of the money, that's why I think the league is a bit unfair. And also, it's a bit boring because, like you said, the worst season in history of Real Madrid is them finishing fourth, like, or third or fifth. Oh my God, if they finish fifth, they will probably burn the stadium down. The fans, they will be so mad. Like, and even in Germany, I think it's more fair. Germany, I think, has, like the Premier League, a more fairer system in the distribution of money. And you also see sometimes from Germany, like Frankfurt can do stuff in the Champions League, in the Europa League. You see like Borussia Dortmund playing some finals, some semifinals, and it's hard to get that in La Liga from other team other than Barca, Real, and the occasional Atletico Madrid.
Yeah,
it's hard.
Yeah, exactly. Just to quickly go on this comment by Joel, he says, you've got to admit, we've got a really united squad. Only Nkunku has broken relationship. All the others have been so united. It's true. And that's, as much as it comes with negatives, having a very young team all being the same age, this is one of the big positives that you're going to get if the whole team is basically the same.
By the way, mentioning Nkunku, is he even part of the celebration? Did we even see him?
I saw him celebrate after Sancho's goal. I even saw him smiling. I was like, I didn't even know he can smile. So that's good to see.
I completely forgot he even existed once again.
Literally. Dimitar, I want to finish it on this question. Who was your man of the match today?
I think Palmer, and also I have to say again, credit to Maresca. He made the right subs at the right time. No question about it. So Palmer and Maresca, I think together they won us the final. We have to be fair.
Yes, and I can only agree. Ladies and gentlemen, on that note, we're going to round it out. Thank you so much to everybody that has tuned in today. If you haven't already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It would be massively appreciated. Chelsea have won it all. Chelsea are the winners of the 2025 Conference League. Thank you guys for watching. Up the Chelsea, upwards and onwards, and I will see you next time. Bro, I'm so